It's Ivy Slater, and you're listening to Her Success Story podcast, a show where gutsy businesswomen share their success journey. Hi, this is Ivy Slater. Welcome to today's episode of Her Success Story. I have had the best time doing this Women Leaders in Technology series. Women Leaders as Tech, if you've listened to the very intro to this series, has meant so much to me to learn about different women in different areas of technology. And as I said earlier, technology touches or is involved in everything we do today. And to speak to the women leaders behind this is just fascinating to me. So today we have Dr. Shelly Gruenig. Shelly founded a community robotics program that 17 years later has served thousands of young people and their families throughout New Mexico. The World Championship program provides STEM education to youth and builds pathways to a bright future, in addition to supporting educators through professional development in robotics, 3D printing, drones, and emerging technologies. Shelly's accolades go on with different awards and the impact she's making. But most importantly, Shelly, I just love talking to you, and I love talking to you about what you're doing with our younger generation and how that's going to end up being such a great bonus for us. So thank you for being a woman leader in technology.
Well, thank you, Ivy. And I'm just appreciate the opportunity that you are giving women to share her success stories and to share the work and our passions that we're involved in. So I'm so excited about this interview.
So tell me, 17 years ago, how did this whole thing get started? You and I giggle on the side. It's like, Word document, Google document, right? And now, that's the nuts and bolts. But how did this get started for you?
Absolutely. Well, I think when children come along in our lives as women, it can often change the focus of our own futures in ways that we don't anticipate. So it started really as something. My background is in career education and workforce development. And so when I had kids of my own, I really wanted to impart to them experiences that could shape what their future would be. And I knew in doing career advising with adults that one of the biggest challenges that most people face is making a decision about their future. And it often stems from a lack of experiences. So I was searching out experiences for my own kids when I stumbled across this robotics program. In the generation that I grew up in, I was very interested in science and technology, but I didn't have the support to pursue that kind of future and passion. And so it was just a natural fit. We started out what I thought would be sort of a 1-year commitment. And all these years later, we're still here doing amazing things, and it's grown in incredible ways that I could have never imagined, honestly. So
you started this program with started from your own children, and then the children they knew, and let's talk about the program today. Like, you have a whole, I know I shouldn't, I like my natural word is like, you have a whole school going on with, robotics. You're like a robotics school for for kids in there, what age to what age. And like,
right.
It's fascinating.
Yeah. So we are offering a out of school time program. It's a STEM, what I consider a STEM leadership program for kids from ages of 6 through the age of 18. And it's a kid-led program. So I really believe in developing the leadership of our future generation. And so they are part of everything that we do. So we have a nonprofit, which is called R4 Creating. And then we also have an LLC that the kids along the way, we developed a business. and they work in that business. They help to drive that business and what that business is, where we offer camps and programs in everything from Minecraft and 3D printing to drone building and robotics. And we do that here in New Mexico, but we've actually also traveled all over the country to do that as well. So we've done programs everywhere from Texas, Illinois, Iowa to Arizona. So across the country, and it's part of building their leadership experiences and their competitive advantage within their own lives.
You know, it's kind of wild, I have to say, because you've set it up that your young leaders are learning leadership, they're learning business, they're learning STEM, robotics, all different areas of technology. So they're getting the full technology background, but they're also getting the leadership background. They're also getting the business knowledge background. And I have to be honest, I've never heard of a program like this in my life. And if I would have made sure at the time my kids somehow got involved in it, because it is skill sets that will last every student of yours, every child who comes through your program, a lifetime, whether they go into technology or not.
Absolutely. And I think that that's what we're building, right? We're building those experiences where that will shape the rest of their lives. And a great example of that last night is I was at an event with two of our alumni and our mayor and several of our state representatives, and the alumni had the opportunity to speak in front of the group and shared that exact thing. What you're talking about, Ivy, is technology is part of every career in this day and age. There's no way around it. You want to be an entrepreneur, you need to know how a website works, right? You have an idea and a dream to build an app to help people. You need to learn programming. And so this is a different generation that we're raising up. And so we need to equip them in all of these new and special ways where they can go out and be amazing public speakers and communicate with people and be able to market an idea and make change and what I call failing forward, right? Where they're coming up with something, they're trying it out. This is a safe place where they can fail forward with some crazy wild idea or something that they want to do and build on that.
I love the fail forward concept. And I think our younger generations get that so much more. And they're willing, the younger you are, we're willing to try, experiment, risk, and take the learnings from that or that fail forward moment. And so often when we do that, amazing opportunities, creations are developed and birthed from it.
Absolutely. That's where we innovate, right? It's that place. And we've all had that aha moment where innovation comes from that, where some of the greatest ideas are born. And within our program, I often say, we take everybody's idea into account because sometimes the youngest of our students have some of the most amazing ideas. Yeah. And so weighing in there and sparking that curiosity and then building, giving them a reason and a real purpose makes a very real difference in their world, that they can affect change and that their voices can be heard. That is important.
So I have to ask this. You never actually, when this started for you, you started this for your own children. Mm-hmm. And, close to 20 years later, what has surprised you?
Great question. What has surprised me?
My stump question, it always seems to appear.
It does. I think, actually, I'm not stumped at all. The kids surprise me time and time and time again, which, of course, it shouldn't surprise me because that's a whole mission that I'm on, is to build them and give them experiences and give them confidence about their future. but I'm just surprised at how when they step up, that moment when they step up and step into their leadership. And I think that it's also surprising to me that the number of young women in STEM careers, science, technology, engineering, and math, that in the last decade, that number has not been changed. We've been talking about it for a long time. We've been saying women should be at the table, but it's surprising to me that we haven't really come up with a way to make real change, radical change in that area.
Is there, and it's so baffling. It is, I agree with you 1,000%. It is just so baffling because I think women are no longer classified as the English social studies kids and the boys are the math science kids. And there's so many young women and young girls who are brilliant in these areas. So, and again, I don't think you have the answer to this, but hey, if you have any insight, feel free to weigh in. Where is it falling off? And
Right.
where is it falling off? And then what can we do about it? Like programs like yours is making an influence.
Absolutely. Well, I definitely have some thoughts on that. And I think from my experiences, the one thing that I know is that our young women often within the classroom are more hesitant. We see the research. We know that those junior high years are critical for young women. That's where we lose them when it comes to math and science and technology. And so with kind of armed with that, along with my own daughters, I have 2 daughters and 1 son, love them all very much. They're all pursuing careers in STEM. So yay, victory for me. It worked. And they're very happy in the work that they're doing. It really is their passion. And, I'm sure you've heard that saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. And that really was my goal for them, because I believe that for myself. But back to your question, which my youngest, I remember at one point, and we were doing some career work, and she shared with me, oh, I can't consider this one particular school because I'm not smart enough. And that has stuck with me, because I thought to myself, if my daughter, who literally from the age of 3 has been building and programming robots and all things STEM, if she feels ill-equipped or not confident enough, what about all the rest of the daughters that are out there?
True.
And so that led me on this journey to launch a Girls into Tech program that I'm so excited about. And we launched it this summer, a year-round support program for young women who may just want to explore science, technology, engineering, and math, just as what's out there for me. And so one of the things I learned this summer about that, Ivy, is that for our young women, I think it comes down to languaging so often. It's
okay,
as
tell me
simple
more
as
about
that.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
so that resonates with me. That resonates with me without even having any knowledge about where you're going here, to be honest, to the listeners. But because I was like, oh, I don't think tech. And so I don't, right. So in that same way, I think about learning Spanish or French or any other, so many languages. And it's the differentiator when you said language, and what resonated for me is there's learning how to say hello, what is this direction? Where is the bathroom? Donde está el baño? But there's a difference of when you start thinking in that language. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
And so you're no longer pulling phrases, you're no longer translating, you're actually thinking in that language. And that's when you said that, that's what resonated for me.
Yeah. So the kind of aha moment I had around that, it happened this summer. And I've always said, 2 years into developing this program, I started telling people, boys come in the front door They see a robot and they say, hey, I want to build that thing, or I want to program that thing, I want to drive that thing, right? The girls come in the side door. They come in with a friend. They say, hey, I could build a poster or sign. And then they get here and I open up the world of STEM to them and challenge them in ways, but so there's different ways that they enter. Well, what that led to is kind of another realization this summer for me. And it was when we had a presenter at our Girls into Tech event, and I was watching the expression of the girls, and the woman who was speaking her whole point was to talk about computer science and programming. And even me just saying those words might put you to sleep, Ivy, right? Like if that's not exciting to you,
it scares.
Right?
Actually, it scares the hell out of me.
Yeah, it puts fear into you. But what happened is this woman told her story that she had this idea that she wanted to create an app to help people, and that she knew nothing about apps, and that she went on to teach herself computer programming and how to build an app. And I just saw the light in the girls' eyes as they responded to this woman and immediately started asking questions. And what that revealed to me was that our young women, we know in the biosciences, we have plenty of women in biosciences. There are lots of women at the table in executive positions and leadership positions, but it's those other sciences that, whether it's computer programming or engineering, mathematics, that we're not there. And what I realized was that as women, one of our big goals is to help others, to be able to make a difference in a way that feels good, that speaks to our heart. And so she had, in her statement, in her presentation, she had captured that. And literally, like, for the rest of the week, she happened to be our Monday presenter, and I was with the girls the entire week. And every day I could see and have conversations with them about how they realized, oh, this gives a reason to why I should learn to be a computer program, right? That it could help others. And so that's why I say it's a languaging, because I think that we need to really consider how we're presenting the way that we're educating our kids. And that it's different for every child, of course. But if we look at genders, we know there's so much research that's out there that can tell us that's true, right? So
I love it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it's so important. And so that's that, and just allowing young women to create relationships. So I'm not going to give away all my secrets here, but because we only have a few minutes left, I'm sure.
I know.
But, like relationally based pursuit of a profession in STEM and the support that it takes to do that, that's kind of what I shared with you as my legacy project, is this Girls into Tech, and that's it's all encompassed in that.
And you know what I admire so about that is Shelly, as I've gotten to know you, we have that same premise of relationships, of conversation, of long-term relationships. And even the women who have graduated, have the ability to the young people have the ability to build relationships with people who have gone on and built careers in STEM. And so what have you seen from some of you? What have been some of the outstanding things you've seen from some of your young people and young men and women who've gone through your program?
Right, absolutely. Well, I see them stepping into leadership roles within their careers and within the community so much more frequently than their peers. They come back to me time and time and time again and say, I had no idea what I was learning, the immense difference that what I was learning through this program was going to make in the rest of my life's trajectory. I hear that frequently. This isn't just a program for every gifted kid. This is a program for every kid truly. So, for instance, one of the alums last night that spoke at that event, he shared how he had dyslexia and ADHD. He was flunking out of 5th grade when his mom enrolled him in one of our camps. And from day one, that sparked his future. And he realized, hey, you know what? I can learn to read by using an Audible app, and I can, his motivation to learn changed because all of a sudden he could put his hands on this robot, right? So it's about way more than robots, but in his case, it really made a very big difference. He is in a career right now. In fact, at one point in time, he and I were flown out to Boston because he was honored as a prodigy with a computer-aided design program called SolidWorks. Wow. And he is using that for his career and has built that without, with a high school diploma. He has been extremely successful. And so I just really like to help kids figure out what is in their heart, what gifts that they have, and how they can use those to create what I call competitive advantage. And
I love that.
If I can get them into the world of STEM, science, tech, engineering, and math, I like to direct it sometimes that way because I think our world needs it,
Well, it's, as we said, early on, technology is the cornerstone of everything we touch.
Yes, absolutely.
Everything we touch. It's if we go to cook, you have air fryers now, you have this, you have that. We pull up a recipe if it's on an app, if it's on this. Everything we touch has some premise in technology. So thank you, by the way, for doing this for our younger generation, for being this leader that our younger generation has the exposure and the basis of knowledge to step forward, and not just looking at the tech piece, but looking at the whole young leader.
Yes. Developing them is you're welcome, and it really is truly my honor and such a blessing to my life that I'm thrilled to be able to be part of it. And there's been so many people that have helped and mentored me along the way, right?
Sure.
To help find that voice and that platform to be a champion for kids. And I'm excited about what the future is going to bring. With our Girls into Tech, we're hoping to move that into a national program going forward. And
nice.
I've not actually said that out loud on such a public platform, but
so on that note, as we move this forward, how could our listeners learn more, reach out, and stay connected to you?
Absolutely. Well, they can absolutely find me on LinkedIn and Facebook, as well as through our websites at begreaterthanaverage.org. And the nonprofit website is R4 creating.org. And I was a published author with my dissertation, but I do have several ebooks that are out there, but I actually have been part of a book project. The book name is On the Shoulders of Mighty Women by Leslie Michaels. And there's a whole chapter on coaching, and it really is kind of just my background in working with kids. And so people can reach out that way.
Lovely. I love this. Listeners, don't worry if you missed any spelling. Everything is in the show notes below. Feel free to take a look, and most importantly, take an action. At this point, I'll always say in the show, take a moment, take a deep breath, and say, what did you take away from this conversation? What was the aha moment for you? Write that down, and then devise what is your action based on that piece of knowledge. It's great to listen to podcasts. I love to listen to podcasts, no surprise there. But I always say, what am I taking away from this? And then what action am I going to take? Shelly, you are a joy, an inspiration, and a pleasure. Thank you for joining me here today.
Thank you, Ivy. And thanks to your listeners.
And listeners, see you next time at the next episode of Her Success Story. If you've enjoyed this series on women leaders in technology, Leave us a note, leave it here at either on Her Success Story or send me a note at slatersuccess.com and pass it forward to other people so we can continue to make an impact on this important conversation. See you next week.